Welcome back to the SA Weekly Talk Show. Mike Callahan here, your host. And with the last few weeks, recently after the new year, there has been a surge from what I'm seeing of new people purchasing Service Autopilot, and particularly their Pro Plus level. Now, the Pro Plus level is the area that allows you to automate your business. So I would say at least 15 to 20 people in the last week or two have reached out privately via message or in Facebook groups and said, hey, Mike, would you mind giving us a quick refresher of what a fully automated business looks like in your sales, employee, and repetitive tasks? So what I'm going to do is show you traditionally what we had started out with in my business, and now where a fully automated business, in my opinion, looks like, built on the automations inside Service Autopilot. So if you're watching this and you have Pro Plus, or you have a desire to go out and automate your business and move into the Pro Plus level that will allow you to automate your business onside Service Autopilot, you're in the right place. I'm going to flip the screen out and break down what a fully automated business looks like and show you a bunch of the new additions and things that we have learned in the last 6 to 12 months that will take your automations you have now and literally put them on steroids. So as usual, comments or questions, drop it in the chat live or in person, and we will we'll dive into this. So what we're going to be looking at here is I'm going to flip the screen out and flip this around. And I'm going to give you a quick background on my story. And really, it was the ability to take back my life from my business. So I had originally built a service business 25, 26 years ago. And literally, no one tells you when you start a business through your high school years, your college years, especially after 5 years of college. Even my entrepreneurial classes in business classes didn't ever tell me that I shouldn't have built this business around me. So what I did is inadvertently originally built a business that revolved around me as a single point of failure. And eventually the 100-hour weeks, no exaggeration, led to a divorce and kind of a rough spot in the life, obviously. So what I had to look at is said, hey, what's good in the life and what's bad in your life right now, Mike? And when I decided, one of the things I didn't like was my business. And that took me on the journey that I'm about to show you, and all the things that we've figured out that I'm basically going to share, because I feel like it is my duty to share this with fellow business owners. And if you're watching this, this is going to be applicable to lawn care, home cleaning, pest control, snow removal, and pretty much any service business. So like we were talking about, the story behind it is basically, after getting stuck in the trenches 80, 90, 100 hours a week, I went out and found automations. And this is well before Service Autopilot had automations, but I know Jonathan Potoshnik of the Lawn Care Millionaire and John Caldwell, the co-founders of Service Autopilot, had this vision, and they were working on it. So we ended up buying Service Autopilot 8 or 9 years ago and building my whole entire business on it. And it was one of the main tools that allowed us to scale to 7 figures and well beyond. But then when Service Autopilot created Pro Plus, we took all the automations we had built somewhere else and built them on the back end of Service Autopilot. So now we didn't have multiple system chaos. Everything that should happen inside the software was happening together, and it was tying into different statuses and triggers. So if you're going out to automate your business with 2 different software programs, I'd like to call that multiple system chaos. That's a big mistake, in my opinion, if you can do it all inside Service Autopilot on the Pro Plus level. So once again, if you're thinking about automations, drop me a message. Happy to answer your questions. But we're looking, you need to be on the Pro Plus level to do this. Now, as you see, this handsome gentleman down here on the right-hand side is Dylan Rothenberg. He's works on the SimpleGrowth team as a certified advisor. Well, Dylan has a very similar story, minus the grind and heartache. But Dylan was our first client at SimpleGrowth and now works for the SimpleGrowth team after his business was acquired. But Dylan leveraged the power of automations to scale to nearly $2 million in 8 years. And was able to eventually sell that business as a turnkey system. So folks, this works. I am not the anomaly. Dylan did basically the same exact thing. And we're blessed enough to have him on the SimpleGrowth team as a certified advisor of Service Autopilot. But without any further delay, I wanted to give you at least a little background of why we could talk about this as experts, because we've lived in the trenches that you're living in. We've seen a lot of the hurdles that you're going to see or have seen, and we can show you how to build a fully automated machine inside Service Autopilot and be able to buy that time back and create predictable systems that don't need to be babysat by the business owner or manager. So comments or questions, drop below here. I'm happy to answer these live as well. But this is what we're looking at. And this is a little bit new. Most folks have probably not seen this. So we took our foundational pieces of the last 8 or 9 years of automation, and we've continued to evolve, working with hundreds upon hundreds of service autopilot users, either helping them set this up on their own or building it out for them in a turnkey solution. So as you're looking at this high level flow chart, you may not want to eat the elephant in one chunk. You might want to bite little chunks off. So what I did in my business is I took the biggest pain points of my business and focused on them first for the little wins. But this is what a 5 to 6 year journey in my business looks like, fully automated. And this is what we do for service autopilot users that don't want to reinvent the wheel, but literally have a turnkey solution complete with marketing documents. And as you're building something out like this, there's about 130 to 140 marketing documents that we've pre-written content for you, because we've figured out what works and doesn't work. And I'm going to get into that here in a minute, of best practice from writing marketing content if you're doing it yourself. And this has been a journey of A/B split testing and engagement. So I'm going to kind of unfold all the secrets that we've learned, and I'm actually going to show you some examples as well. So the first thing here is, if you're using Service Autopilot, I am recommending a V3 form deployed on your estimate with the unstyled script, so your webmaster can style that and keep it mobile responsive for your website. But someone enters in their information and requests an estimate for certain services. By clicking on the estimate request, we are segmenting our client, our lead request, and we can talk specifically to that person in an automated but personal fashion. And that's the key there, personalized, folks. So if somebody requests a lawn mowing estimate or a home cleaning estimate for weekly or biweekly, we're going to talk to the specific service they're interested in an automated but personalized fashion. I'm going to give you a little more detail that in our short-term education. Other thing is, if they call our office, we want to have something that we call a phone intake form, so we can enter all the pertinent information inside Service Autopilot and start to segment this lead in our database once again, so we can have that automated but personal conversation. So the first thing we do automatically now is go out and send out a thing called a lead letter. And these are the 5 or 6 main reasons why our business is different and why somebody would want to do work with us and not our competitors. So once again, we're differentiating ourselves from the competitors and not selling on price, but we're selling on a differentiation and a higher perceived value of services. Now, one of the cool things here is if you're doing a larger project, say like design build, and there may be a longer time before you actually do the estimate, we can tie into a product called Send Jim and automate this letter being mailed out in the U.S. Postal Service with an envelope that looks like it's hand addressed. So what you're going to find, at least when we got to the house, when we were doing an in-person estimate, the person would have that in their hand and there was an emotional connection. Once again, you're differentiating yourself and creating a relationship before you ever get to their doorstep. Now, the next thing is, before the estimate, we're going to do a thing called short-term education. So that's why it was really important on the estimate request in a V3 form to segment the services. And now, based on that service, if it's weekly lawn mowing, we're going to be talking about 1 to 3 communications, how to do the service as a professional. And we're going to build a higher perceived value. So we're going to be talking about how to sharpen the blades, how to balance the blades, proper mowing height for the season. In addition, I also recommend going in and adding to this education to overcome any sales or price objections. So do I need to be home to have the lawn mowed? Are you going to close the fence gate behind you? If I've got kids and a dog, I don't want to run the risk of them running out of the backyard if the technician left that open. Now, if you're in home cleaning, maybe we're talking about the difference between a top to bottom deluxe or a deep clean, where we're going out and taking care of the blinds and we're wiping them down with a microfiber, where maybe your weekly or biweekly cleaning includes dusting, but it's more of a feather duster scenario. So we're going to basically break down what's included in the service and not included, and we're going to show them how we do it as a professional to raise that higher perceived value. And then overcoming the sales and price objections, we're shortening that sales cycle. So higher price, shorter sales cycle, more speed and efficiency. Now, before I get to the estimated submission part, I want to tie in here because we just had a huge webinar, sold out capacity last night, actually, with the SimpleGrowth team with Dylan and Jen. But we talked about conversational marketing in the shift of on-demand buying habits. So what I'm recommending is on your website here, at a bare minimal, we should have on your website and social media, you should be having an automated bot that's going to be able to be customer service focused and automated estimating. And then what we've done in my business and all the other businesses we work with is we've synced that with the CRM, the customer relationship management software. In our case, that is Service Autopilot. So the leads, their first name, last name, address, house square footage, turf square footage, the price we've quoted them, all that automatically syncs in the Service Autopilot and creates a lead and alerts your team that a new job has been done or an estimate has been sent via the bot. Because what we want to do is complement the V3 form on the website to create this on-demand buying situation. So you've got Amazon, Netflix, Uber, DoorDash, list goes on and on and on. So with the pandemic of COVID, buying habits have shifted or accelerated to people want to buy when it's convenient for them and not when it's convenient for the business owner, you and me, to actually go out and give them an estimate on our leisure. So this is a major, major shift now that can be tied into Service Autopilot and create your fully automated machine and system. Now, the next thing we're looking at here is the estimate follow-up. This is the process that we call right here 20 days to close. And now 20 days to close, a lot of people think it's the whole entire thing if you're in the Service Autopilot Facebook community, but really it's just this little column here. And what we're going to recommend when you break out a estimate follow-up or a 20 days to close process is it needs to be on omni-channel communication. So you may be like, Mike, what is omni-channel communication? Well, it's kind of like mixing different things together as far as communication. So we're going to have automated email, automated text, and phone calls. Yes, phone calls. Phone calls are going to be signed in the form of a ticket, which used to be a to-do, with a call script assigned to a person with a deadline. And it would say something to the effect like, hey, call Mrs. Smith. It's been 3 days since we dropped off her lawn mowing estimate. If she says the price is too high, here's some ways to overcome that sales and price objective. Most important part really is in the bottom of it, in my opinion. If she signs up for this service, do this in Service Autopilot. If she doesn't sign up, do this in Service Autopilot. If she says, I'm not sure if I'm hiring you guys or not, I'm still shopping, do this in Service Autopilot. That is creating a standardized process and system. So whether it's an in-house office person or it's a virtual assistant halfway across the world, it doesn't matter. The same exact process is being followed inside Service Autopilot for predictability. Now, one of the things here, as you can see, is a pipeline report. And I'm going to see if I can pull up an example of this. But not only is it enough to have the automated process, in my opinion, but what we've done is developed a report in the report center of Service Autopilot that now is automated because you're on Pro Plus. But that can be sent out to the business owner, manager, anybody who needs to be done. But we get a weekly or daily report based on our sales pipeline. So how many estimates are at day 1, day 3, day 5, 7, 10, 15, and 20? Is it a lead or a client? And what is the value of that estimate that's still open? So you can go in and look at your next 20 days and say, hey, what do I have in my sales pipeline? What's the probability that is going to convert into a sale? That's a metric that I think we need to be looking at going into this spring and pretty much the whole entire year. Now, the next thing is if the estimate is one, this all happens automatically with the exception of the phone call. Before I skip over to the one process, if you don't want to make that phone call, we also tie into that product called SendJim. Now, SendJim can do a thing such as a ringless voicemail bomb. And what that does is it hits the cell phone on record here without ringing, and it looks like a missed call. But it's a personalized message that I would leave saying, hey, it's Mike from Callahan's Lawn Care. I am so sorry I missed you. Just found up the estimate we dropped off 1 day ago, and it's literally 1 day because the automation fires off that way and triggers SendJim. But we left that estimate 1 day ago. Want to see if you just calling to see if you had any questions. That's why I left you this voicemail. If you do have any questions regarding that estimate, call me back at this number, or feel free to accept the online estimate. And Service Autopilot has great features where they can check the services they want and sign electronically. So this can be your fully automated sales system. Now, if the estimate is one automatically without you having to do a thing, I'm recommending a welcome and wow sequence. Welcome and wow is first thing is your welcome email. It's going to acclimate them what to expect when working with your service business. And very important, we should be including a PCI compliant credit card form from Clarent to get their credit card on file if that's required. So that can be a prerequisite that's usually a manual task that we've now automated. So what we're suggesting here, the way we've done it in our setups of automations on Service Autopilot, is that we have a 30, 60, and 90-day follow-up. But what if somebody's first service they signed up with you was a one-time cleanup in the spring? Well, it'd be kind of goofy and it would look automated if it would follow it up 3 different times. So what you need to do, what we do is we build the logic in the automation. So if it is a one-time service based on your particular services in your instance, we follow up once. If it's a reoccurring service, we follow up at 30, 60, and 90 days. So as I started talking about marketing copy and best practice, one of the things that I would highly suggest is in these follow-ups, do not brand up this email and make it look automated. The idea is we want it to feel personal, as if somebody from your office took the time to physically type an email, letting them know we're concerned and we want to know that they're happy with the service. And if they're not, how can we fix it? So we're hopefully reducing that cancellation risk. And I'm going to talk about an automated report that we recommend deploying as well in a minute. Next thing is happy holidays. So whether in the US, Canada, we've got clients in England and Australia, and I believe actually Switzerland now using these processes. But what you want to do, no matter your country, we want to create your country-specific holidays. And we go out and just educate them around the holiday. And we wish the consumer a happy holiday. This is just basically a long-term nurture. We're building a relationship with these people. Now, this is not only going to our clients, but it's going to our leads and canceled clients as well in the system, unless they've opted out of our email marketing. Next thing is our newsletter automation. So I'm going to suggest, at least the way we tackle it, is we want to go out in the beginning of the month with a newsletter automation. Now, this is going to go out and not be a sales pitch by any means, but it is providing value. And on the flip side, hopefully through reciprocity, they go out and reach out and buy more services from you. But an example right now in the winter, in the Northeast right now, my newsletter is going to be around ornamental pruning. So I'm going to talk about the proper timing, the proper cuts. If you're in the South, this is crepe myrtle or crepe myrtle time, pruning time. Maybe getting to the tail end, but we're going to talk about how do we prune those crepe myrtles? What's the proper technique and the timing? And maybe a soft one-liner at the end. By the way, if you need some help, we're here to help. Let us know. But the idea is we're educating and continue to provide value. And when they see that, hopefully they get to reach out and hire us or request an ask, because we are the experts. We're showing them how to do it and just providing free expert value. Now, middle of the month, what I'm also going to recommend is you segment your database. So this is why it's very important that you enter your leads in as leads and your clients in as clients, and hopefully take your leads and convert them into clients where we have that tracking. But the idea is we track our leads and clients separately in the database. We have segmentation. And then in the middle of the month, we go out and it gives us the beat. What's up, Hobie Barrett? No crepe murder. Absolutely, brother. It was good seeing you last night on that webinar. But basically, we want to go out and have a different conversation, if it's desirable, to your leads and clients separately. So you may be trying to fill your spring schedule. Maybe you're offering a 5% discount if you sign up before a certain time, or a prepaid discount. But maybe you don't want to alienate your clients that have already opted for the full payment. So it gives you that flexibility to have a personalized but automated conversation based on where they're at in the customer lifecycle. So segmentation and database hygiene are very important when you build these things out. Otherwise, you can look very foolish. Now, our dispatch notification automation, I like to call that be there, been there. Kind of a tongue twister. But the idea here is it's based off several factors, but on a high level, when those jobs are dispatched, usually the day before, it is a text or an email alert to the client letting them know that they're on the schedule when we're showing up. And then after we leave the home, we have a text or email letting us know that the technician has left. So really cool. My home cleaning company, Made for Time, is a Service Auto Pro Plus member who utilizes the SimpleGrowth automations. And it's really cool to actually see when Angelica comes to the house. I can see that when she's coming and when she leaves the house if I'm not here. So really cool to see it on the consumer end. But one of the things that I love after my cleaning is I get spaced out throughout the year. I get basically a customer service review. And not to confuse it with QDS, quality driven software. This is different. Quality driven by Martha Woodward, the other certified advisor, is a great platform. I highly recommend it. What this does here is it's just a personal touch base throughout the year, but very more sporadic than Martha's weekly check-in. But what it does is we've created reporting in the report center to give you a visual representation of your NPS through social review. So it's NPS 0 or 1 to 10, and a 9 to 10 is going to be your promoter. Then we have our neutral and detractor. So if they're a promoter, we're kind of screening them, and if they hit that threshold of a 9 or 10, we send them out to your Google, Facebook, Yelp reviews. If they are an 8 or below, we send them back to your office to basically get that cancellation risk report and start working that list and see why they're unhappy. And those neutrals are the easiest ones to move over to promoters. And those detractors, well, we need to really get on those because they're bashing us online probably and telling everybody they have a chance that they're not happy with our services. But now we have a visual automated report inside Service Autopilot to go along with the 5-star review automation. Well, cash flow is king, obviously, folks. So here's another automation I'm highly recommending that you build out. The way we built it out is an overdue invoice plus credit card expiring. So there is a predefined process of several warnings, escalating all the way up to collection process with a basically a task for somebody to go out and put that into play. In addition, when that credit card is about to expire or it is basically has expired, the automation catches that and goes out and through a PCI compliant form through Clarent updates that credit card. Now, the last thing here is going into the season here, crew upsell automation. So the way we've tackled is we've built a mobile form that the crews actually fill out the on-site conditions, and then that actually triggers an automation based on the specific things the crew or technician saw at the house to do an automated upsell based on the actual things that are going on at that home. So we've gone for the website or somebody calling in or hitting a bot. We've hit him with a lead letter. We've hit him before the estimate with some education. We've submitted the estimate. We've followed up for 20 days. Now we've won the estimate. We're welcoming and wow them all automated. So the next thing is, how do we handle everybody that has a loss estimate, a canceled service, or needs renewal? And obviously in some of the states, and if you've been paying attention in Service Autopilot Academy, we're probably going to be going to a auto renew situation, but some of our northern markets just don't play well with that, or business owners aren't ready to adopt that. But what we do is I'm recommending up to 8 upsell campaigns, and that's going to tackle where they're at in that customer lifecycle. But there's 3 main triggers, not to list all of them because there's several more, but the main 3 you need to be worried about is, are they on the schedule already for that service? Do they have a waiting list or package job hanging out to be scheduled, or do they have an estimate in play for the particular service that we're upselling? If they don't meet that threshold with some other ones, without totally getting into the weeds, we've segmented them. So you're not going to be sending out an email blast saying, hey, or a text message saying, hey, please sign up for our spring cleanup. If you already have, please ignore this. No, we want to have it particularly to where they're at in the customer life cycle. So building the logic into that upsell is going to be your key to success. And I'm recommending 2 to 3 weeks before the pain point of the first weeds popping, with it overlapping a little bit, is the ideal time for that. So what we're going to be looking at here is a minimum of 5, I'd say, but I would say the ideal number, but not really to go over it, is going to be up 8 upsells throughout the year based on seasonality. So we're going to sell those gateway services, the lawn mowing, the fertilizing of the phone, in the lawn care industry, measure them online, close them quick, and then we're going to create a process of automated upsells to raise that client lifetime value. And hopefully some of these services can be performed the same time that you're already at the service. So we're hitting them for 2 or 3 services at the same stop. If you've been on the Facebook group and you're kind of like looking at it and you're like, well, Mike, that sounds great, but my business is different. My market is different. People don't like to be marketed to. This works anywhere. US, Canada, Australia, England, Switzerland. But if you go through the Facebook group on Service Autopilot, if you're a member, just look for the upsell comments on some of the ones we put out as a certified advisor for our clients. They're getting 60 to 80 estimate requests in literally 3 to 4 hours. And that is mind-blowing for most folks. The last one I had some stats on is a fertilization company did around, I think, $82,000 or $83,000 in additional aeration and overseeding this fall to his non-existing customers. So people who had never actually signed up for that service. The gentleman actually called and said, hey, turn off the last upsell because it's working too good. I can't get all the work done. But if you're looking at building this out yourself, these are the keys to success. We want to be able to have good database segmentation. We want to talk to them where they're at in the customer life cycle. And we want to provide value up front. We're not selling, but we're focusing on being the expert. And if there is sales or price objections, just like Marcus Sheridan's book, They Ask You Answer, we're going to address those ugly questions or concerns up front before they become a concern of them buying. So we're shortening that sales cycle, and make sure if you haven't done it in 2021, you need to get some kind of estimate bot on your website, your social media, have the ability of using QR codes and texting to drive an automated 24/7 estimate process based on your prices and production. So next thing here is I want to show you a quick snippet right out of my email inbox a few years ago. It's called our quick follow-up. And this is, there was about 500 people that responded to this email in 1 month, not even sent you. In that email here, I thought I had a screenshot of it, but I'll tell you basically what it is. It's a 2-line email, and it literally says, "Hey, Mrs. Smith, just checking in on your estimate. If you'd like me to save you a spot on this list on the season this year, let me know. Have a great Saturday," basically. And at the bottom, the secret sauce is it looks like it's sent from your iPhone from the manager 2 days after every estimate. So it's personalized looking, but it's automated. So one of the last things I want to leave you with here is that now that you've got this sales machine rolling that's fully automated, we all have employee problems. How do we go out and recruit and take care of that? So this is what we did in my business, and this is what we help folks do in Service Autopilot. But this is something you can build your own too. So I want to give you the roadmap. First thing we do is we're building out that hosted landing page or V3 form and office entry. The way we built it out is English and Street Spanish. Just based on the demographic of most of the clients or leads basically coming in as applicants. Once you get them into the automation, we drive them through this online English or Street Spanish application process. We originally had textbook Spanish, and that actually, to no shock, didn't convert so well. But we converted that Spanish into more of a Street Spanish version, and it did convert. But the idea is we want to make the applicant jump through some virtual hoops here. And once they get through, let's say the applicant's name is Joe. Joe gets through a to-do or now a ticket in Service Autopilot comes up. It's assigned to a role or person in your office. And what we're going to do is give them a couple pre-interview questions to make sure they're qualified, and we can rank them A, B, and C, and only maybe the A's and B's get through the actual physical estimate or interview, but basically your office would be entering into a form if you made it. I call it the master employee form, but you enter in the interview date and time, and the automation would send a text message to the applicant the week before and the day before the interview, let them know where to show up, when to show up, and if they're not coming, to respond back so you don't have 5 people not showing up for interviews right after another. In addition, you can apply, I would suggest assigning some homework in here. So if you require a driver's license for this position, send them down to the DMV for a driver's abstract for the $3 to $5. And when they show up with them in hand, you give them $5 and replace it for them. But if they are serious about the job, they've got some skin in the game if they can go down to the DMV and wait in line to get that driver's abstract. And then you're not in the scenario of going, oh, the applicant going, well, I got a license, but I've got to pay a couple $1,000s worth of fines before I can actually use it. No, we want people with a driver's license when we're about to hire them. In addition, we've integrated in with Calendly, so these applicants can actually book in your calendar as well if you don't want to make the physical call. Now, once we get to the actual interview, so COVID times, this may be on a Zoom or screen share, FaceTime, or maybe in person. But the idea is what we suggest doing, the way we built it, is you've got 5 or 6 standardized estimate questions that you're going to ask each and every applicant. The reason why is we want to create a unbiased ranking system, and we're going to prompt the interviewer to rank the applicant in A, B, and C fashion. And what we're doing is creating a database or a labor pool that's qualified that you can search. So if you've watched any of the Lawn Care Millionaire videos or some of the conversations that Jonathan Protoshnik of the Lawn Care Millionaire and co-founder Service Autopilot we have done or talked about in these videos, we both have been talking about stacking the virtual bench, kind of like a sports team. This process is built around that process that Jonathan and I have talked about in those videos. And this can all be automated inside Service Autopilot. So if we do hire them, we go down this process. If we don't hire them, there's an automated process to alert the person in the system and tag them up if they come back in, so we don't go through the same process of interviewing them again. Big thing here is what we did and what I recommend doing is sending a 2 to 3 part introduction to company culture. This is going to go over your mission, vision, values. We want that millennial worker to align to a culture, and there's not a paycheck. So when we started seeing a lot of employees only lasting 8 to 12 months, eventually I had to step in and say, hey guys, like what's the problem? Is it the guy running the business for me? Is it the business? Is it the pay? And the answer is pretty much, we're like, yeah, the guy running the business is okay. Like, he's all right. We don't mind him. Business is great. I'm like, okay, well, it's got to be the pay. Like, no, pay's actually really good, but it's just a paycheck. There's nothing else to this business. We want a career. We want a culture that we can buy into. So we went out and spent well over $20,000 flying out to Phoenix, several quarters to define that mission, vision, values, and that culture. And now what we did when we came back from that is we hire, train, and fire to the mission, vision, values, that core values. And now once we did that, we saw 2 to 3 years worth of tenure on these employees versus 6 to 8 months, maybe 12 months. In addition, one of the biggest things in the spring, we sometimes forget to get the tax documents and all the information we need together in a timely manner. So the automation now does this automatically for you. So your culture and tax docs goes up to 3 attempts, in my opinion. After the third and final attempt, a ticket would come into the system and say, hey, Joe didn't fill out his tax docs after the third and final attempt. I recommend firing Joe at this point. Because if Joe can't fill out his tax docs to get paid, there's a good chance he's probably not going to be a good fit in the field, either mowing or cleaning a home, wherever that may be. Now, the final part that I think is really the most exciting part is we've created video training inside Service Autopilot. So we've got 36 videos and 6 modules that are all inside Service Autopilot for office training and workflow. So literally from lead acquisition to scheduling, billing, and fulfillment, every time you hire a new admin, you run them through this automated process, and you're getting them up and running within 7 to 10 days. In addition, what we did in my business, we went out in the field with a laptop, a smartphone, and a wireless mic, and we made videos for each and every service we did. So lawn mowing, weed whacking, blowing off the surfaces, hedge trimming, you name it, we made a video. And then we created online video training that was automated for our field staff. So what we did is we basically created our own little franchise without franchise fees. And it was a turnkey business when we got acquired that we can hand that all over. And the 2 final things is we automated our employment contract processing and handbook fulfillment. So what should happen happens each and every time without the business owner having to be there and babysit the process. So if that wasn't enough, now you got 20 or 30 employees out there. And if you're not telling them what to do every day, every week, every month, well, you've become a babysitter again. So final thing that I've got to show you here is the idea of creating automations and repetitive tasks. So this is the automation we built, but if you're building these yourselves, I want to show you the roadmap to success that we see. So what we do here is we take what's in the business owner's head and we delegate and automate. There's 7 core areas of your business that can be automated inside Service Autopilot. And they are sales, customer service, scheduling, billing, office manager, maintenance, and owner. And how the automation works is it goes out on a daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, annually basis and assigns to someone with a ticket, a deadline, and potentially instructions or a video all right inside there. So what's in your head now is being delegated out. So when I left for GIE last year, the year before, Paul, who ran Callahan's, had a repetitive task to winterize all the spray tanks for fertilizing. It told him how many gallons of RV fluid he needed per tank. It had included the manufacturer's video and everything else he needed. So all the knowledge that would have been relying on me was inside the repetitive task. And cool thing is when I got on the plane, if he hadn't done it, I would have got a text message letting me know that Paul didn't do his job and I would have had to go out and get that done. But the idea is a repetitive task assigns it to a person with the instructions and everything they need. And if it doesn't happen, it alerts the employee and alerts the manager owner via text or email based on the importance. So here's about 38 or 40 of these that we actually provide in our repetitive task automations as a certified advisor. But if you're looking at this and you're like, well, what would I automate? Here's are 38 or 40 of them that we actually provide. And you can, by all means, take a look at this and replicate this yourself. In addition, the way we built it is you can make unlimited amount of these automations for each timing in each area. And I also recommend, you'll see over here, owner, you want to do some things to keep yourself accountable. But a real basic idea here is if we had a full-time sales guy, let's say his name was Dave, if Dave's job was to complete all his estimates in Service Autopilot and make his follow-up phone calls, if that job was not done, the automation would either email or text message Dave at about 5:30 in the afternoon, say, hey, dude, you didn't do your job. This is what you should have done. Let's get it completed. And it would escalate it to the manager owner via text or email, drawing the actual manager in or owner to manage the process. We automate the delegation and leverage the power of the software to make sure what should happen happens when it needs to. And if it doesn't, it pulls a person in to manage it. So comments or questions? I've got a few minutes here before I hop on my next call. But SA Weekly Talk Show coming back at you. Again, this week had a great interview with Jonas Olson there. Really appreciate him drop some knowledge and sharing how he's growing his sales machine. But this is just, what we're doing here as a certified advisor. And Service Autopilot has been, basically nice enough to allow us to go out on the SA Weekly Talk Show here and provide education and workflow, how to use this amazing software platform in your business. And, Hobie Barrett is one great example. The guy's just crushing it out there in Savannah, Georgia, amongst others. So any questions? Obviously, we're here every Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Central. And we're following up on a daily basis pretty much with Callahan's Corner, where you ask the questions, we answer them live right on Facebook Live. So really, really happy to see everybody here live on the SA Weekly Talk Show. We're going to be coming back to you either with a pre-submitted question like this of what a fully automated system looks like inside Service Autopilot, or we're going to bring on another expert guest based on the demand. So if you have any questions you want me to answer live here or with an expert guest, please submit those in via Facebook Messenger or email. Or if you have any suggestions for guests, I'm happy to bring those folks in and interview as well. And I've got a couple really good ones lined up without giving away the secret. So stay tuned. SA Weekly Talk Show coming at you once again next Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Central. Mike Callahan hosting the SA Weekly Talk Show on a weekly basis. We'll see you again next week, folks.